Good evening, everyone. This is Priya from CA Sansaar. A warm welcome to all of you at our YouTube channel CA Sansaar. We are back here with new webinar. On this webinar, we will discuss about interplay between GST and PMLA. For that discussion, we have with us very respected honorable speaker, Advocate CA Jatin Harjai, sir. Thank you so for being with us, sir. So let me read a brief introduction. Advocate CA Jatin Harjai. C. Jatin Harjai is practicing chartered accountant based at Jaipur. Through his more than 15-year career, he has become recognized for his contribution and expertise as a knowledgeable professional advisor and consultant in the field of financial consultancy and tax advisory. He has very vast industry experience, including of infrastructure, mining, real estate, construction and broadcasting, manufacturing, e-commerce and logistics. He has also served as consultant in the World Bank project for GST implementation for Government of Rajasthan. He is also guest faculty on various educational, professional and industrial platforms and shared his view on VAT, CST, anti-tax, world tax, and GST. He is also actively engaged in representing industry before department at various levels. He is representing in the Tax Advisory Committee before Chief Minister of Rajasthan for giving recommendation and suggestion before State of Budget. Apart from this, he is actively participating and contributing in the study group and workshop and is regular contributor in so many academic and professional bodies such as Special Invite Member of National Indirect Committee of ICI, co-opted member of National Indirect Tax Committee of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, member of panel GST experts maintained of CIRC and EIRC of ICI, chairman of Technical Research Committee of Tax Consultant Association of Jaipur, founder of study group framed by ICI for study research and recommendation on GST, co-opted member of Direct Tax Committee of ICI for the year of 2018. He is qualified in Chartered Accountant in 2003, LLB University of Rajasthan, Diploma in Information System Auditing by ICA. That's all about of Advocate C. Jatin Harjai. And that. And we have also with us CIP Vivek Khurana sir. Now I request to Vivek sir to say a few words. Now it's up to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Priya ji. Uh, Very renowned faculty, a very good friend, Advocate CA Jatin Harjai ji, Priya Rawat ji, and all other members who are watching this video. First of all, a warm welcome to all of you, and my sincere thanks to Jatin ji for his valuable time. I know he's very busy nowadays because advocate उनका तो time ही शायद सारा time into the court. On our special request, he is here. वो भी अब सीधा ही कोर्ट से आए हैं और अभी चाय भी हमारे सामने ही पी रहे हैं. तो we all aware that the government has brought down this GST into the PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, through the notification. And after that, I was seeing lots of confusion, lots of debates, even on the social media. Not only the general public, even by the politicians have started. कि ईडी विल डू लाइक दैट, ईडी विल डू लाइक दैट, छोटे व्यापारियों का ये हो जाएगा, बिजनेसेस बंद हो जाएंगे, ईडी सबको बुला लेगी, काम खत्म हो जाएंगे. एंड इवन कुछ जतिन जी ने भी कुछ ट्वीट किया था, इवन एक दो हमारे रिस्पेक्टेड ऑनरेबल चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब ने भी कुछ ट्वीट किए थे कि कुछ काउंसिल मीटिंग में शुड बी लाइक दिस एंड शुड बी लाइक दैट. तो आई डोंट नो व्हाट्स द एग्जैक्टली, बिकॉज थोड़े टाइम पहले सीए, सीएस, सीएमए all are under the preview of the PMLA. तो अभी GST को भी लेके आए हैं. तो that's why I asked Jatin ji, because he know more better than these people. तो he will guide us कि क्या actual में क्या लकूना है, whether they are right कि PMLA के थ्रू इट्स नॉट गुड, कि वो उनका बिजनेसेस बंद हो जाएंगे, या छोटे व्यापारी जो कह रहे हैं बिजनेसेस उसके ईडी के अंदर आ जाएंगे. आई डोंट थिंक सो. ईडी खाली बैठी है कि सबको नोटिस भेज देगी बैठ के. तो आई एम नॉट टेकिंग सो मच टाइम बिकॉज दे कॉल्ड अस. मेरे को भी बुला लिया था कि आप भी 2 मिनट के लिए आ जाइएगा, बिकॉज मेरे को तो जीएसटी की एबीसी भी नहीं पता. बट इट्स द हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट टू जतिन जी, एंड उन्होंने हमारी एक्सेप्ट मान ली. तो लास्ट टाइम थोड़ा सा कुछ बिजी शेड्यूल हो गया था, तो उस वजह से नहीं कर पाए. तो आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट. उसी वजह से हमने रीशेड्यूल किया. तो नाउ इट्स ओवर टू जतिन जी. आई एम नॉट टेकिंग सो मच टाइम. यस, थैंक यू वेरी मच वंस अगेन.
First of all, thank you, Vivek ji. Thanks a lot for having me here at your prestigious platform. and for giving me this opportunity so that I can share some of my thoughts. I can try from my side to share with members कि भाई क्या कुछ अगर misconception है, so I will try from my side to remove and maybe some questions which we all should take. Secondly, thank you Priya ji for a lovely introduction, but I believe you have taken some old maybe profile. So to a caveat, I'm not practicing as a chartered accountant, rather I practice as a lawyer for more than 4 years. Anyways, so Vivek ji, can we have a PPT of the session? Okay, let's start from this slide itself. Today we are going to discuss this PMLA aspect majorly in relation to what sort of confusions has arisen, or maybe what kind of has already arisen, popped up in the social media, mainstream media, among politicians, and more specifically among officers, about what kind of provisions are whether PMLA provisions are applicable to GST proceedings or vice versa, or whether ED officers have any kind of authority for the GST conduct on the taxpayer, or vice versa as well, whether the GST officers has any kind of obligation on the PMLA. So all these debates has already been raised in the market. Reason of the debate is in front of us. We can have a look at it, that different news shows something different. Government brought GST under PMLA. What does that mean? I don't know. GST को PMLA में लाने का क्या मतलब हुआ? I actually cannot understand. Second news says अब GST भी PMLA में आएगा. Third news from आज तक channel says केंद्र सरकार ने जीएसटी अपराधों की जांच को ईडी द्वारा मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग के रूप में कराने का फैसला किया. दिस इज समथिंग सच अ लाइन व्हिच सेज कि whatever the GST offenses are there, maybe ED can inquire that. So that's something I would like participants, viewers, they make up their own view what the correct situation is after we have gone through with whole of the presentation. Maybe next 30 to 40 minutes time. After that, we will have some Q&A if some questions are there. Just a very, very basic background of the first aspect, because we are having two laws which we need to discuss. GST is a tax law only. It is a levy of tax on supply of goods or services, or both, nothing else. Offenses under the GST law and punishment or prosecution for the same has already been provided in the GST law itself. Chapter 19 is there under the GST law, which provides what kind of offenses are there under GST and what kind of penal provisions are there for them. Another aspect which we should be aware, that whether ED authorities can have any kind of role under the implementation of the GST or maybe conduct of the GST. Basic idea about the GST administration comes from the GST law itself, whereby we are having couple of provisions which are which one should examine. Let's start from section 3 itself. Law says there will be a particular category of officers only, and those officers shall be notified by the government. The class of officer. The class officer means a principal, a commissioner, additional commissioner, joint commissioner, deputy commissioner, these kind of officers. And these class of officers are to be notified by the government. Next, government may notify any other class of officers also which are not there in the law. So please mind, government has not yet authorized any kind of officers which are not there here. At least ED authorities are not there. Then, after government, CBIC is also having power to appoint officer in addition to what the government has appointed. But once again, for that also, there has to be a specific notification from the CBIC. And CBIC has not come up any kind of notification which says that the ED officers will be officers under GST. Now, please mind, the officers who are appointed under the GST law are only supposed to discharge all the duties and exercise powers under the GST law, not anyone else, unless they are being notified in section 3 or 4. This is what we can say administrative legal provisions under the GST law. Then 291 comes into picture, which says the proper officer. This is a very specific term. Just like in income tax, we use AO. In earlier regime, in VAT regime or sales tax regime, we used to have a terminology assessing authority. Similarly, GST law uses the term proper officer, like Customs Act. So who is the proper officer? To whom respective function is assigned. For example, if someone is to be issued under Section 70, then government has to come up with a assignment of the function, that who is having a right to issue summon. Just like we are having 3/3 2017 circular, through which the work has been assigned to different category of officer. Just like Section 73, 74, show cause is to be issued. Who will issue the show cause? Law says proper officer. Then government has to tell who is the proper officer for the purpose of Section 73 and 74. So far, no authority has been assigned any function other than the GST authorities. When I said that the jurisdiction to deal with the GST, different powers under the GST law are with the GST authorities, it is not possible to exercise powers by any other authority. I'm sharing, this is already settled principle, that jurisdiction goes to the root of any case. I'm sharing one case in front of you, which is there on your screen, in which Honorable Supreme Court has beautifully said that jurisdiction goes to the root of any case, and even with the consent of the party that issue, the default of jurisdiction cannot be waived. Meaning thereby, let us say some officer is going to inquire you. Let's say ED officer comes and they inquire you about something under the GST law. Maybe you can apply it other way as well, that a GST officer who is not having a jurisdiction on you, may be functional, may be territorial, may be subject matter jurisdiction. And if that officer doesn't have any jurisdiction, and even if you agree to it, okay, you examine me, you are asking some information, I am giving it to you, something, even that consent cannot cure the jurisdictional defect. And one more important aspect, the challenge to jurisdiction can be at any stage. There is another judgment on this, very beautiful judgment, Dr. Shrimati Kuntesh Gupta, that also described this aspect in a very, very beautiful manner by the Honorable Supreme Court. So this is a settled position that defect of jurisdiction cannot be cured by anyone. Now coming further, just identifying some of the statutory provisions in relation to administration under the GST law, I'm just taking some very, very simple case studies. Very simple case studies. And we will, after going through with the PMLA provisions, we will examine these situations under the PMLA law as well. That can they come into picture? First, a very simple query. There is a company which supplies wheat flour, and they are under assumption that it is a exempted commodity, whereas the department has already made the case it is a taxable one, taxable at the rate of 5%. We are all aware that there is a classification dispute in this industry. So this was a dispute. Under the GST law, yes, penal provisions are there. Section 122 subsection 2 clearly applies on it. Similarly, second question, let's say another company, it has granted a refund on account of inverted duty structure. After granting the refund, the authority thinks that refund was wrong. It was erroneous. This was an offense in the opinion of the respective government authority. Again, that offense, the consequence of offense is given in section 122 subsection 2. Similarly, ITC wrongly claimed something on which assessees of the view that it is eligible, something which department believes is not available. These are the typical questions. Tax wrongly paid or tax not paid, tax paid at some different rate, refund wrongly claimed, ITC wrongly claimed, allegedly claimed wrongly. So all these issues are covered by 122 subsection 2. Now the next is a bit rigorous position. There is a company who has collected the tax from its customer but has not paid to the government. Again, GST law prescribes the consequences of the same. It says equal amount of the tax penalty would be there. Section 122 subsection 1 is specifically says so. Now let's move a bit ahead. Now we get to know there is a Mr. C who helped this company, Mr. S Limited, which we discussed in the last slide, that he prepared books of account in such manner that there is an exempt income for the amount which we have collected. For example, they have raised an invoice 100 rupee plus 10 rupee as a GST, hypothetically tax rate treating as 10 rupees. So 110 is the invoice which they have raised to their customer, 10 rupee as GST. But in their own books of accounts, what they did is they said, okay, 110 total income, have not paid a single rupee of the GST. And there is one person, Mr. C, who helped in making these kind of books of accounts. We'll see in all these cases whether PMLA comes into picture or not. But statutory provision, GST law, yes, there is a specific provision. As far as Mr. C is concerned, any person who aids or abates in any of the offenses committed in so and so, in all these provisions, specific provision is there. Now I'm coming on a last example here, that there is one Mr. Mastermind who has created we can say cartel of so many firms, a web of so many firms for tax evasion. And DGI authorities investigated that it is revealed that 50 crore rupees of the tax evasion is there. He got benefit, he got cash surplus from a tax evasion of rupees 50 crores. Maybe out of this 50 crore, 20 crore he has distributed with another his partners or partners, we can say. GST law provides a consequence for it. Undoubtedly, there is a section 122 subsection 1A which got inserted at a later point of time. It provides a consequence for it. So this is what all about GST law and some of the case studies, so that we will have examine all these aspects, whether PMLA can gets attracted in these kinds of situations or not. Before we jump to the case studies under PMLA, let us just understand what is this law? What is the purpose behind this law? What is money laundering itself? See, the term launder is being commonly used in the form of like we are going to wash something. Commonly it is being, laundering word is being used for a washing of the cloths. And there is a very interesting story why this law was being named as anti-money laundering laws. Because in the initial time when there was this law was getting developed, initial times, there was money were generating through the, majorly it came for maybe for control and prevention of the illicit money generated through the drug and traffickings. And there actually happened, the people who were involved in these drug businesses, they whatever money they generated, they actually put them into the business of cloth laundering. Some machines of cloth laundering which were having a kind of business whereby accountability was very less. From there this term came up, money laundering. So actually, if we understand this term, precisely money which is illicit, criminal, that money, if someone tries to or commits or does cleaning of that money in such a manner that it looks like a clean money, then it can be said to be a laundering of money. Now, without going into legal definition, before that, let me give you a very, very small example to understand. Let us say there is a person who is a maybe politician, maybe a government servant, who got some bribe. Now, what happened? It's not possible for him to put the bribe into directly his bank account. So what he does is he got some bribe and he divided that amount maybe into 10, 15, 100 parcels and deposit this amount into maybe his 10 relatives' accounts. And then he got a gift from those all 10 relatives in his account. It can be a very simplest case of money laundering. So there was an offense. Offense is what? He has taken bribe. Maybe it can be a person who got this money by way of maybe some other, maybe some drug trafficking, maybe some loot, maybe murder. So that money got generated, criminal money got generated. And that money has put up in a financial system, cleaned up in such a manner so that it looks like a legitimate money. Now, on the contrary, let me give another example. We'll come to legal definition, but just before this, let's just try to understand what the money laundering is. Let's take another example of a businessman who is doing a regular business. He is registered under the GST. He is filing his GST returns regularly. He is filing his income tax returns regularly. Now, what happened? We all have witnessed this at many a time. Businessmen in their books of accounts insert such expenses which are bogus to reduce their tax liability, income tax liability to be very precise. Now, let us say what happens when these kind of bogus expenses are booked. The cash generated. Now, let us say that cash has been deposited by those persons, that businessman, into different accounts, so maybe of relative, just like I have given an earlier example of a politician or maybe a government servant. Similarly, what he does is he deposited that money in maybe his kin's account and then got a gift from them. Prima facie, it appears that these are the same transactions. And if the earlier one is a money laundering, then this one is also money laundering. So whether both of these transactions are money laundering, we'll have to check after going through with the definition, legal definition. These are the processes. Just, I think, pictorial form, we can understand this. Typically, a money laundering process involves 3 steps. First, placement. Second, layering. Third is integration. Placement is when you got a money, when you got a criminal money, dirty money, red money, you are placing it into the financial system of the country. Maybe first time, the example which I have given earlier, maybe a politician case, maybe another case of a businessman who has not filed the return. What he is doing is he is depositing it into some other's bank account. So there is a placement of that illicit money into the financial system. There may be a movement of that money from one account to another account to another, then third, fourth, like this. And precisely this process is being normally being used in the international market, that it's not only within country. Today, some bulk amount has been deposited. It has been transferred to some other country. Within country, which are maybe tax havens or maybe having less control from one account to another account to another. Just like such trails are being made so that original source gets disguised. So many times this kind of cases are being used. Let me give you one classic example, which the authorities tracked last year only. In a country like Dubai, whereby accountability is very less, cash transactions are normally permitted. No one is going to ask you why you are going to deposit a 1 million dirham in your bank account or why you are going to withdraw. When there is a chain of bank account from one account to another account to third account, so there is actually a chain. Authorities can get a track. Yes, obviously it will get difficult the moment the chain is longer, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 transactions are there. The tracking will be difficult, but tracking can be there. So people has adopted an approach that once the it is being shifted to a bank account, let's say from here to Singapore, Singapore to Dubai, now maybe Dubai one account to second account, from second account they withdraw the cash, and then it is deposited to the another account. So this all aspect is layering. You are creating so many layers into this transaction that the original source gets disguised. It cannot be linked to the original source. This is what layering. Third is integration. That means coming back that money into the regular source, regular economy as a clean money. So many things are there. So many examples can be there for it. Maybe a person is buying maybe some cars, luxury cars from that. Maybe it has been received from in the form of like maybe we have seen undercutting in the invoicing, overpricing invoice goods, export of goods or services for a overprice, or maybe document export only, where there is actually there is no services, but invoices are being made for services, export of services. So these are all our way outs by which is a part of integration process. So typically, a money laundering is a worldwide known phenomena having a common these three parts. Number one, placement. It starts from the placement. Second, layering. Third is integration. And this is what has been well accepted all over India. In fact, the very famous judgment under the money laundering law, Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary, they also recognize this particular process in their in the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court in the larger bench, 3 judges bench decision, which was being placed. They have specifically recognized that what is money laundering? Money laundering is this 3-tier process: placement, layering, integration. In this slide, what you are seeing that what I have described: placement, moving funds from direct association of the crime; layering, disguising the trail to foil pursuit; integration, making money available to criminal, projecting it legitimate. I have picked up these words exactly from the Supreme Court judgment. So now let's come to this legal definition. What we understood is generally what is money laundering: cleansing of the money, illicit money. Now, law says whoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assist or knowingly is a party or is actively involved in any process. Now, these words are important. Any process or activity connected with proceeds of crime. The most important word for us is proceeds of crime. Then, including its concealment, possession, acquisition, or use, and this "and" is of very important. Maybe if there is any question comes, then I'll discuss this. And projecting or claiming it untainted property shall be guilty of offense of money laundering. So if we read this language definition from here, it says concealment, possession, acquisition, or use. If we take a pause here, precisely we can understand it that all those aspects which we were discussing in a placement and layering, this definition talks about it. Concealment, छुपाना; possession, having; acquisition, उसको acquire करना; and using. Please mind, until now, these words are segregated by or. And now there is a and. And means the earlier thing must be there, and the second thing, the activity which is being mentioned after and, that must be there. This is what the and means. Both the things has to be there. So either of them, concealment, possession, acquisition, or use, but having, projecting or claiming it as an untainted property. So first you are concealing something and then projecting it as an untainted property. Someone has acquired, or someone has possessed, or someone has used, and claiming it to be untainted property, clean property. This claim is very important. Projecting or claiming is very important in a layman's terms. There is a major amendment into it in 2019, which if required, I'll discuss that. In a one line, I can say, though the law is same, but now there is a explanation has been added in the law in such a manner that now this act and is being read as a term or. There is an amendment or I would say there is one explanation has been added, and this explanation has been tested already by the Honorable Supreme Court in the same judgment, Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary. They given a green signal to its validity. They said it's fine, it's valid. Explanation can go beyond the or can change the meaning of this particular aspect as well. Though they precisely, I would say that they said there is nothing wrong in having this explanation. It is in line with intentions and the international conventions on this money laundering. This is what precisely Honorable Supreme Court has said on this. If any question comes, then I'll maybe respond specifically on this. But precisely, I would say we have gone through with the legal definition given in section 3 of the money laundering, or I would say what is money laundering offense as far as India is concerned. Precisely, we can say that any process now after amendment, whether it is a concealment, possession, acquisition, use, or maybe projecting or claiming it as an untainted property, and what proceeds of crime. Please mind, whatever we are discussing, it is in reference to proceeds of crime. So now, what is proceeds of crime is defined in section 2(1)(u). It says proceeds of crime is a property which has been generated or arised in relation to activity which are there, which is assigned as a scheduled offense. If we go by exact language of the act, it says means any property derived or obtained directly or indirectly by any person as a result of criminal activity relating to a scheduled offense. Now, this is what the key. So, it is not each and every crime. It is not each and every offense which generates money and we will treat it as a proceeds of crime for the purpose of PMLA. It's not like this. So first of all, there has to be proceeds of crime. There has to be property. There has to be money or some other property in another form, which has been arised, which has been generated by a criminal activity, which is a scheduled offense. So offense has to be scheduled one, then only it will be treated as a proceeds of crime under the PMLA law, not otherwise. Now, what is this scheduled offense? There are three parts of the schedule. Part A, Part B, Part C. Part B talks about only and only custom for a specific purpose for a 132 having amount of more than 1 crore rupees. Precisely, the major schedule part is this one, Part A. You can see there are 28 acts which I have just enlisted here. Law uses the term para 1, para 2, para 3 like this. So there are 28 paras in the Part A of schedule to the PMLA. And this schedule specifically, I have mentioned name of the act only, whereby the schedule specifies that these sections, this much of the space was not available, so I have not mentioned the specific sections here. But it is not just there is any offense under Indian Penal Code will get classified as a scheduled offense. In PMLA schedule Part A, there is a specific sections that these sections of Indian Penal Code are covered here. That means only those sections under the Indian Penal Code will be a scheduled offense for the purpose of the PMLA, not otherwise. Not each and every offense. So majorly you can see that there is a Indian Penal Code, Arms Act, some Wildlife Act, Narcotics, Foreign Act, Passport Act, Copyright, all those rigorous which we can say are there. And yes, Customs Act is there, but please mind, Income Tax Act is not there. GST law is still not there. So GST law is not an offense. If a person got some illicit money, one may use the term black money as well. But commonly black is not used for the PMLA. Normally the term uses red money. That means not only the black normally signifies on which the tax has not been paid. Red means some criminal act along with it. So let us say there is now let's come to the example which I just sparked for a moment. A businessman who got some cash from an offense under the income tax law, and there is a government servant or a politician who got bribe Both are having, we can say, illicit money. It's not absolutely clean money. They have used their sources, they put them into different buckets, got that money back. In layman's terms, we can say both have laundered their money. But as far as PMLA is concerned, the government officer who took the bribe will get covered under PMLA, because it will get covered under the Prevention of Corruption Act. As far as the businessman is concerned, he has done some wrong act, some offense under the income tax law. And out of that, he generated the money. That is why he will not get covered under the PMLA. So that offense will not be of an offense under PMLA law. So this is just a schedule, one may refer directly. Now, another aspect, we have discussed under the GST, what are the authorities, what kind of things are. Similarly, if we go, the law specifies, yes, that these are the authorities. Government may appoint such other class of officers as well. If you go to 48D, government may appoint such other class of officers under such other class of officer may be under other laws as a PMLA officer. This is possible, but not yet done. Similarly, please mind, even the state of, many a times one may think that this PMLA is only and only in relation to central. No, answer is no, big no. Even the authorities of the state can also be appointed or assigned the function in the PMLA. But that is not the case. It has not been done. For this purposes, a very specific notification has to come. Before that, not permissible. I'm just leaving all these aspects, empowerment of certain other officers, which I was just talking about, even for the state government officers, but not done as of now. Now coming to the issue which has been, because of which we are having this session on today. GSTN. Please mind, the notification talks about GSTN, not GST. Notification is in front of you. It simply says that there entry number 26 will be added to the earlier list, earlier notification, which was issued under section 66. This is what the notification says, chapter ends. Now, what is this list? We need to understand it. For what purposes GSTN has been included in the PMLA? That's section 66. That's a very interesting section. Section 66 is about disclosure of the information by the PMLA officer. It is not other way around. It is not that some person who is getting authorized, notified here, he is going to disclose the information. Just like GST is not supposed to disclose the information. It is other way around. Precisely, this is what section 66 says, that the director or any person or maybe his junior authorized by him, he may furnish the information to whom? Certain authorities mentioned in clause 1, then in clause 2, to those authorities which are notified by the government. Before going further and explaining it a bit more, let's come to clause 2. Please mind, it mandates. Section 1 is discretionary, subsection 1 is discretionary, subsection 2 is mandatory. Section 2 says, if the officers under the PMLA, that means director and other officers, if they are having the information or if they are having the opinion on the basis of information and material, what they are having, that provisions of the other law, precisely they are talking about the laws which we have already discussed. Long list is of their offenses. But see, they are not the officer. PMLA officer, let's say Benami property, let's say prevention of corruption or any other law. So PMLA authorities cannot act as an authority, but they are duty bound to share this information with the respective authorities. if they get to know that these kind of contraventions are there. This is what a provision. Now let me just explain it to you what actually this mean. These clauses, these two different clauses, what they say. I'm talking about 66(1) only, not 2. So now 66(1), what it says is, again, discretionary. This whole provision is discretionary, not mandatory. 66(1), 2 was mandatory. 66(1) says, if director under the PMLA, there are two type of director. One is intelligence units, financial intelligence unit. Another is the enforcement directorate. So we are talking about FIU. So if the director, actually the FIU director got all the information from everywhere, from all the details, all the suspicion information are getting received by this wing, FIU only. So this wing may share the information with the 3 persons. This is what mentioned in the law 66(1) clause 1, Roman I. With whom? Authorities dealing with tax. Please mind, this is important. Officers dealing with foreign exchange, and authorities and officers dealing with narcotics and drugs. So I'm leaving the other two. First is authorities dealing with the taxes. Your assessing officers, maybe enforcement officer under the tax laws. Even without this notification, which incorporates GSTN, they are expected, these PML authorities are expected, when they are having information, they should share this with all tax authorities. It is already in that PMLA law, it is provided. Now there is a provision 66(1) clause Roman 2. It says government may notify these items, in which GSTN has been notified as an 26th entity. Apart from like ED, RAW, CCI, CVIC, Economic Offense Unit of the CBI, all these agencies which have their own intelligence system, which enforces by one means or another, making sure that the people are complying with the legal provisions. There in that list, GSTN has also been added. That means now ED, whatever information ED is having, they may share it with the GSTN as well. Please mind, with the tax authority, GSTN is not a tax authority. Tax authorities are your maybe assessing officer, maybe your enforcement officers, or audit officers under the tax laws. These were already being shared. So precisely what I understood from this notification is maybe an institutionalized mechanism has been established to share these information. We can say it is a institutionalization of information sharing, information dissemination. Whatever information it is having, they will be having a systematic thing. So it will get passed on to GSTN. GSTN will then pass on to respective authorities. This is what has been done by this particular notification. Now let us come one by one quickly. These all what points we discussed earlier. That there is a classification difference. One person has not paid taxes, got some refund under GST law, maybe ITC wrongly claimed something. Even some person has helped in getting the refund. So recourses will be there under the GST law, not under the PMLA law. So in all those examples which I have discussed earlier as far as GST is concerned as a case study, for all those cases, GST law is providing recourses and GST law is not notified under the PMLA as a scheduled offense. Neither the GST authorities are notified as authorities under the PMLA, nor PMLA authorities, that means ED authorities or FIU authorities are identified as a notified authorities under the GST law. So none has been done. So for all these offenses, which is there on the screen, the recourse has to be taken under the GST law, not under the PMLA law. Now let's go a step ahead. I have taken some another examples as well, which in addition to the one which I have taken earlier. There is a person who took registration on the basis of false document. on the basis of false document. In the GST, we have seen this very frequently. Maybe electricity bill has been maybe forged. Now you can see I have specifically mentioned that this is an offense under the GST law under section 120 to 112. GST law is telling us a recourse. But this is an offense under section 465 of the Indian Penal Code as well. And the authorities had booked the concerned person, filed a FIR under section 465 as well. Now can PMLA, now can ED come into picture? Answer is still no. Now, why no? Because please mind, as I earlier said, not all the offenses under the Indian Penal Code are there as a PMLA offense, as a scheduled offense. So 465 of the PMLA, 465 of the IPC is not in the list of scheduled offense. So that is why ED authorities cannot pitch in. Now, let's take another example. An officer took a bribe. He got caught and booked under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Can ED authorities pitch in now? Can PMLA apply now? Answer is yes. Because section 7 and 8 both are a scheduled offense under the PMLA. Similarly, another person took registration with the false documents. I think there is a mistake in writing. This is a false rent received with a stamp. So in this case, of forgery, 467 of the IPC will get attracted. There is a difference between the earlier one and this one. The earlier one was there is a forging of the electricity bill to have some GST registration. In this case, there is a rent receipt which shows that I have given this much of rent, this much of the amount to someone else, and along with some stamp paper, which is a government stamp paper. So those stamp paper are manipulated, rent receipts are manipulated. This case will ideally get booked in 467, and 467 is a scheduled offense under the IPC. So in this case, answer will be yes. In this PPT, it is by mistakenly mentioned as maybe section of IPC is also wrong, and the answer is also wrongly written. Now, another example. We have discussed one example that there is a mastermind who created web of so many firms, tax evasion of 50 crore, he shared maybe some amount with someone, 20 crore, 30 crore he got for himself. Now, he sent this money to Dubai through Hawala, shifted to Switzerland, and for all this money laundering purposes. What going to happen? Whether ED will be having a right? Absolutely yes. Because now the case will be booked under this FEMA as well, and this Benami properties also. So both are the scheduled offense, and this transaction will also get will be attracting ED action. With this, I have tried to cover some aspect in relation to PMLA. Whatever is in relation to GST, I have tried to cover. I think with this, we can say that the notification which is bone of contention or due to which so many spark was generated, precisely saying that all the offenses of GST will get covered? My answer is no, absolutely no. First, there has to be a predicate offense, which is a scheduled one. Predicate is a basically original offense due to which the criminal offense, this is what the terminology is being used in that law. So predicate offense has to be scheduled offense, and GST is not a scheduled offense. There may be just some GST evasion, but if that evasion is also attracting the committing of offense under the scheduled offense, then only the PMLA come into picture. Then only ED can come into picture. Just like we have seen refund. One person has got refund by giving some bribe. Yes, now PMLA will get into picture. But until unless predicate offense is scheduled one, ED authorities doesn't have any kind of jurisdiction. I think this is what with regard to this interplay between both these acts. If we can have questions or queries, if any are there. Vivek ji, I
Yes,
can't hear you.
yes. Sorry. Yeah, many
Please.
queries are there. Let me
Okay.
take one by one. It will also be on your screen. Mr. Rowan Agarwal ji, can ED issue summon to senior citizens for being present in their office for recording statement in relation to case which may not be against him?
See, this is actually a bit disputed issue. Why I am saying so? Please mind, PMLA law says while summoning, while making a search, while making investigation, provisions of CRPC shall apply. This is what PMLA law says. Section 65 of PMLA. Now, Section 160 of the CRPC says in 3 situations. Number 1, senior citizen. Number 2, child. And number 3, woman. Senior citizen means 65 plus. Child means up to 15 years. Not 18 is not the age, 15 years. So for them, the place of inquiry or investigation would be their residence, or the law uses the term usual place of residence. Now, one may argue on this basis that, okay, for a woman, for a senior citizen, the inquiry should be at their place of residence. But please mind, the Section 65 uses the term wherever inconsistent with the PMLA provisions. Now, the question is whether the provision of this CRPC is inconsistent with PMLA or not. If not in this regard, in that, if they are not inconsistent, ED authorities has to go to their usual place of residence. That means unke ghar jana padega. But if they are inconsistent, the person will have to come to it. Now we are having a jurisprudence on this. Honorable Madras High Court, in a very renowned, or I would say famous case of Nalini Chidambaram. She's a wife of Mr. P. Chidambaram. ED authorities given summon to them. She was also a lawyer. She is a lawyer, senior lawyer. So she took this plea that under 160, we are having this shelter that women should be inquired at their premises. But Honorable Madras High Court interpreted both the provisions that no, in case of PMLA, this shelter is not available. Because PMLA provision will prevail if it is clear, and PMLA doesn't give any sort of these relaxation. But one more update on this: the appeal was filed to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court granted stay on it. So this matter is still pending. That is why I have not given any conclusive point. Let's see what Supreme Court says.
But they have also called. I think Sonia Gandhi also called to the ED offices.
Yes, she went there. She went there. So see, things will be tested when someone goes into litigation.
Exactly.
As of now, when the things go before the court. So as of now, the judgment says, the judgment which I quoted with you, it says that Madras High Court explained it, that they are inconsistent, so PMLA will prevail. That means that woman or senior citizen or child will have to go to PMLA, to the office of the ED.
Yes. Next query is, if a GST officer get caught red-handed by any state from the taxpayer taking the bribe, whether taxpayer who was giving bribe can be prosecuted under PMLA?
Okay. What we discussed was, in my slides, I had discussed that yes, the officer against the officer, this will get attracted.
Yes.
Now the question says, what about the person who was paying bribe?
Yeah.
The person who was paying bribe. Please mind, if I'm not wrong, I specifically said Section 7 and Section 8 both are covered. Prevention of Corruption Act, Section 7 and Section 8 both are scheduled offense. So receiving of the bribe and giving bribe both are covered. So even a person who is giving bribe can, can also will also be said to be a committing offense of money laundering. Now, this judgment, there is a wonderful judgment on this as well in case of income tax. See what happened in one of the cases, a person was sitting in the car outside the premises of a deputy commissioner income tax, if I'm not wrong. The person name was Padamnabhan, D Padamnabhan or something. Now what happened? The ED caught them outside the premises. These authorities caught them outside the premises before even the bribe was given. So the question came before the court: can a person who has given, who was supposed to give bribe, even they have not yet given, because that amount was not given till the time it was not a proceeds of crime. And when there is no proceeds of crime, case under PMLA cannot go ahead. Honorable High Court given verdict in favor of the person. That means against the ED. ED went before the Honorable Supreme Court, and the judgment of this Honorable Supreme Court came after the judgment of Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary. So they took clues from there and specifically hold even the proceeds of crime, it goes with the intention, and when everything else is fine. And now this is not the point which I discussed, and now earlier it was or, now it has been made and earlier it was and now it has been made or. So either of the process, either of the activity in relation to proceeds of crime will be treated as a offense of money laundering. So this is again the judgment of Enforcement Directorate versus Padamnabhan. That's if I'm not wrong, the 2022 December judgment is there. That gets clear picture on this from Honorable Supreme Court.
Next query is regarding the cross-examination. Whether it's permissible under the PMLA proceedings. Can accused ask for the cross-examination of evidence in PMLA?
Yes, definitely. One can definitely ask for this. Cross-examination one can ask. Cross-examination is part of the natural justice process. Yeah. Let me tell you one judgment on this very famous judgment of ONGC. So in ONGC, Honorable Supreme Court has specifically said, it is nothing to do with the PMLA, but in a general sense, I am telling you that the judicial approach by any authority, be it court, quasi-judicial authority, judicial authority, that is what the essence of Indian law. So cross-examination has to be given. Now the challenge which comes before these things are, because under PMLA, it is a time-bound proceedings. It has to be completed very fast. So what happened, one issue came up before Honorable Delhi High Court, whereby the Delhi High Court has to examine whether this authorities declined for giving the cross-examination. And Honorable Delhi High Court has specifically said that cross-examination is not alien to the proceedings under the PMLA. It is a basic part of natural justice. So one has to grant cross-examination if required in deserving cases. The case name was Dr. U.S. Avasthi, maybe versus adjudicating authority or something. From Delhi High Court. This is the 2023 judgment only.
Okay. Next query is regarding, can we say the money laundering is converting the origin of source of money fund obtained in a sophisticated manner?
I would say now the definition has been expanded to a great extent. Now, not only origin source, rather it is even if you are possessing the money. See, now in many of our discussion, I have always said that now this law name is wrong. It is no more a Prevention of Money Laundering Act. It is actually a law who is dealing or regulating the proceeds of crime. Because now the term and has been shifted to or, and it has been validated by Honorable Supreme Court. So have an effect of this. See, let's say a person has committed a murder. Due to that murder, he has got 1 crore rupee. He is having that 1 crore rupee with him in his locker, at his home. He has not done anything to launder it, to clean it. Even then, the newly inserted explanation, as validated by the Honorable Supreme Court in Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary, says even possession of the proceeds of crime is also an offense of money laundering. So precisely in this example which I have given to you, a person has committed murder, got 1 crore rupees for this. So he has to face two things. Number one, a CRPC and IPC for a murder, and the another is money laundering offense. So there will be two consequences on it.
Okay, I think next query, I think you have already answered, and next is charge sheet filed in predicate offences. Can bail be granted by the court in PMLA offence?
See, I don't think so. That's much relevant now, because see, charge sheet. This is settled preposition now. That though PMLA is a offense under PMLA is a derivative of, we can understand that there has to be a predicate offense, which is scheduled one. But once it is there, once this offense is identified or it is there, then these two offenses are different offenses. There is a different trial for them. So once a charge sheet is filed under one offense, maybe a factor in the mind of the judge that, okay, now the evidence is in that case is seized, but just because it charge sheet is filed, one want to argue that the charge sheet has been filed, and so that is why I must be granted bail. Answer is no. This has already been discussed by the Honorable Court in Aditya Tripathi's case.
Okay. Next query is regarding can it be proceed against a company under IBC and attach the property generated out of proceeding of crime?
So again, this is a very interesting question. See, IBC and PMLA both are having a non-obstante clause to all other provisions. Both laws say notwithstanding anything contained in any other provisions of any other law. So precisely both are superseding the other one. Now in that situation, there are a couple of judgments of Supreme Court which gives the answer that if the reasonable, first of all, you will have to examine a specific versus general, which is a general principle we all know, that if some law is very much specific to it, then that will prevail. General will go on a backdoor. Now, one may argue that both of them are specific offense. Both of them, IBC is also for a very, very specific purpose. PMLA is also for a very, very specific purpose. But in fact, we have a ruling from the Delhi High Court, I would say, before that we are having a Supreme Court judgment in the case of Maruti. And in fact, the case judgment you must be remembering, Ketan Parikh's scam. In the Ketan Parikh scam, in the similar kind of situation arose that there are two acts which are having non-obstante clause to both one. In both of these cases, Honorable Supreme Court has said that if both of them are specific, then the one who pronounced later will get prevail. Whoever pronounced later will get prevail, because this is a kind of assumption that if a law is getting passed at a later stage, legislature was aware that there is another act as well. So the later one would prevail if nothing specific is there. But contrary to this, rather mentioning and referring to this, but contrary, given a distinguishing judgment, Delhi High Court in case of Rajiv Chakrabarti, he was a insolvency professional, resolution professional actually. So in that case, Honorable High Court given decision in favor of PMLA, that PMLA will proceed. But to all due respect to Honorable High Court, to the decision of the Honorable High Court, I personally feel that IBC is also promulgated with a very, very specific objectives, and this should be revisited once again.
Another query is statement given by a person to ED during inquiry can be used against him by the authority. If yes, then it will be violation of principle of natural justice.
No. I don't think so. It is violation. First, statement can be used. This is not a problem. But see, you will having a opportunity of cross-examination.
Exactly.
It is rather this preposition is very well settled in customs law, in fact, in income tax law, GST law. So those statements are admissible. Unlike against statement given to police. Statement given to police are not at all admissible. So the statement given to ED authorities are certainly admissible, but yes, you will be having a cross-examination opportunity. You can cross-examine the witness.
Okay. Next query is bail granted in main offences, say murder, can still ED arrest under PMLA.
Yes, ED can still arrest,
Yes.
or maybe if it is a case of once again bail, it is not necessary that just because you got a bail in the predicate offense, you will get a bail in the other offense as well. I think lightly I discussed earlier as well. There is another judgment from the Honorable Supreme Court in case of Manik Bhattacharya. It was originated from Calcutta. So Supreme Court hold this thing that it is not necessary that you got a bail in the predicate offense. That doesn't mean that you will necessarily you will get the bail in the PMLA offense.
Okay. Next query is what if any proceed received in cash by offender is deposited back with the government agency? Is he still liable in to proceeding under PMLA?
I need to understand the facts more, because government authority को कहाँ और कैसे deposit कराएं. For example, just because facts are not complete, but let us frame it. Let's say got some proceeds. Okay. Can you hear me, Vivek ji?
Voice? Yes, हल्का सा voice crack हो रही है.
Vivek ji?
Yes.
Okay. So hypothetically, since we
Now
are
it's okay.
discussing interplay between GST and PMLA, so let us assume a person has got GST collected on such a supply which was not otherwise payable. So if he deposited this GST with the government, friends, it is not even an offense under the GST law, probably, and there is no question of PMLA. Maybe the queries may come up with the complete facts.
Okay. Next query is if CA undertakes GST return filing work of client from his own computer and does not certify any document, then whether can department track IP address and held CA responsible under PMLA?
Can department track IP address? I am not an IT professional, but I believe yes, because of whatever kind of experience we are having. Yes, they can. Second question, can CA held responsible?
Sorry to disturb. Even if you are filing return, I have just checked today itself, IP address is coming.
Yes,
from where you are filing.
Certainly yes. So, yes. But I have given this caveat. I am not an IT professional. No, so this is a question for a person who is from IT. But can CA held responsible for it? Please mind, if you are doing your duty, you are discharging your duties absolutely in the capacity of a professional. You are not indulged in. See, please mind, the law uses the very specific word indulged in. What do you mean by indulged? Indulge means you are doing something wrong, knowing that, or to take advantage of that wrongdoing. This is what indulge. So until unless you are if you are not aware that someone is going doing something wrong, he is sending a data to 4-5 people, your data on a bona fide basis, then there is no harm on your part. No one can be you cannot. Beautiful judgment written on this one and under the GST law from the Justice Jaswant Singh ji on under the GST law from Punjab and Haryana High Court. That's one should refer.
Even if you can repeat the few words, because the voice was cracked at that time. The same query.
Which one? See,
this one.
What I was referring is, see, if a chartered accountant is doing his professional job, he is not entered into any hanky-panky, or he is not privy to the maybe some cartel, he is not privy to maybe some affairs. We all understand what I'm saying. So he is not privy or part of that business, that wrongdoing. In that case, no one can. I was just referring to one of the beautiful judgment from the Honorable Punjab and Haryana High Court. It was wrote by learned Justice Jaswant Singh ji. I can recollect that. So one may refer that.
Yes. So I think now we should wind up, because you have taken all the queries. Might be more and more are coming, but I think you are also busy in your hectic schedules. You just came from the court itself, and my sincere thanks to you for such a wonderful presentation and taking all the queries. And I hope so. If some leaders like the politicians or the other person who are this creating mess in the social media, like the ED will do this thing and ED will do this thing. So I think the picture will clear, and very soon again we'll ask for you for some other topic on the same matters, on the PMLA or some on the related to GST, because uh, I have read your tweet at that time and it's really wonderful. आप लोग भी जाके जतिन हरजाई जी का ट्वीट देख सकते हैं. It's really wonderful for a reply to a chief minister who are going mess with the money laundering with the GST. So I think काफी सारे even my mind has clear कि which section can apply or which can't in under the PMLA and the GST. And really it's a wonderful session. So thank you very much, Jatin ji. Thanks a lot. Thank you and bye bye. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.